Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree has finally released after 2 years of anticipation, 2 hours of patronizer video critique, and too much excitement for one little boy. My hope for this downloadable content was that it would be the Elden Ring experience, but refined. What this DLC actually is more Elden Ring. And that's a good thing, kind of. Recapturing the experience of Elden Ring is much harder than you'd expect, and yet, here we are. FromSoft have done it again. The DLC is great for all the reasons the base game is, and even more so in some aspects. However, the DLC has the same issues that plagued the base game, and in some ways even surpassed those problems. Or should I say, transcended. A lot of what this video is going to discuss is criticism, because I hate joy. To be clear, I had a great time. Shadow of the Erdtree is more than likely the best game I will play this year. If the original experience of Elden Ring captivated you in any way, then Erdtree will do the same. It is absolutely worth your money or the time of replaying the base game to get to the DLC. This is not straightforward extra or bonus content. This is pretty much an entire new game without being a sequel. It encapsulates everything that the base game was. This is more Elden Ring, for better or worse. FromSoft has, without batting an eye, made a world that is much bigger than you'd expect. It is full of impossibly good environmental design and striking art direction. Upon entering the Land of Shadows, you can see the shadow keep and boundary of this landmass, which is deceiving in making you think the distance may not be that far. Where Elden Ring chose to have massive open zones which you roamed around, leveling up and discovering side content before reaching a boundary that funneled you towards a legacy dungeon or into another area. The DLC is more like many zones smooshed together. There's a distinct verticality to many of the paths that lead you between areas. You will constantly be moving in and out and through areas in ways you wouldn't expect. The boundaries of zones all kind of smash up against each other in a manner that makes it feel like one massive interconnected landmass. The roads you take are more like tunnels, or rather they're veins connecting many different areas that have been cut, stitched and squished together, much like the disgusting flesh globbies. And it is seamless, somehow still allowing for breathtaking area reveals with almost enough smaller moments along the way to keep you engaged. Here you kind of just pick a direction, and it eventually leads to either a dungeon or a trek into a new area with a boss just around the corner. FromSoft's world design is an absolute achievement. It's my favourite element from Elden Ring, and I don't know how to describe how they do it with everything looking naturally connected and the exteriors and interiors matching without any major obvious video game trickery. Let's talk specifics. For an area to be good, it has to be effective at one of these 2 categories, or preferably both. 1. Gameplay, or 2. Art direction. Gameplay can come in the form of interest and exploration, connecting to a legacy dungeon, or combat challenges in the form of encampments, side dungeons, or mini-bosses. Art direction, which is the less important of the 2 but still significant, comes down to striking unique landscapes, imagery, or areas significant to the story. For example, areas like Skaduview, which doesn't have any interesting gameplay, but remain breathtaking due to the art direction. There are several areas that manage to capture both and even supersede the base game experience of heading in any direction and that leading to more massive sections of the game. Gravesite Plain is the first area and is my favourite of the bunch. It has distinct imagery with the hundreds of ghost tombstones, its side content is fresh, and it connects to a massive chunk of the DLC areas. If players head west to its legacy dungeon, Ballarat, which has enough gameplay variants to keep you interested, add to that the eventual reveal at the end of the DLC, uncovering Erdtree. You little bird fuck. The final area, which is above and connected to one of the first areas most players would explore. Even more so when one of the paths in Erdtree takes you weaving back through almost the entirety of Ballarat to areas previously inaccessible. To the south is the Cerulean Coast, which is lacking in gameplay but makes up for it with its striking art direction of its blue coastline and side dungeon area full of coffins leading you down into the depths. To the east is Jagged Peak, an area that most players will likely delay their trip to once they come across its harsh dragon landscape, or just straight up heading north towards the main goal, eventually hitting a fortress that acts as a gateway to the next major free roam area. Or you explore even more and find another way to the next area in the northeast. Keep in mind, all of these directions lead to an engaging boss fight of some form. Shadowkeep achieves a similar effect, but more so for legacy dungeons. It's the biggest dungeon of the DLC and contains many weaving paths that act as gateways to some of the final open sections. Briefly, the new weapons, items and upgrades are really good and once again act as effective tangible rewards for exploration even if they were far too sparse. Additionally, Miquella's crosses work as striking pieces of thematic guidance throughout your journey and well worth getting to for the upgrade fragment. It's been about 800 words of praise. I think it's time to hit you with the however. The DLC, more than the base game, has a significant chunk of disappointing areas. Once again, I find myself having to justify that the disappointing areas especially stick out in comparison to how good the DLC can be. Think of how any direction you pick in Gravesite Plains leads you to something memorable and substantive, especially on your first playthrough. Unfortunately, this starts to come undone as you hit the second half of the open areas. The two biggest issues leading to disappointment are that the areas are empty or the content inside them is recycled. More dragons, more birds, more jails filled with more flesh globbies, more hand spiders, more hippos, more fire golems that may have started as a fun gimmick but get old real quick. The areas that are hurt the most by recycled content are Skadu Altus, Chiro's Hidden Grave, and Rua especially. Both of them suck, and frankly are boring to the point they'd be better if they weren't in the game. Several other areas may have interesting art design or atmosphere, but fall flat on being entirely empty. Abyssal Woods has a great introduction and fantastic boss, but it becomes clear quick that there's nothing to do in the area and you can't ride Torrent. The area gimmick is shit. FromSoft did stealth better in Sekiro. Additionally, the Finger Ruins have striking art design but are full of nothing, and there's two of them! Pretty much copy and pasted at each end of the map. You see, it's cumulative. It's cumulative. It's cumulative. It's not enough to have one empty boring Finger Ruins that you could easily look past as a weaker section, but still visually interesting. No, there has to be two. There has to be more. To conclude this section, the DLC contains some of the greatest world design FromSoft have done. These areas quite literally contain more Elden Ring. They are denser and tightly packed with weaving roots. That is a true achievement in open world level design. Contrasted with FromSoft's attempt to capture the vastness of the base game with a significant chunk of areas that are straight up boring. Game development is complicated, and who am I to comment? I'm sure once the ball gets rolling, it's hard to make major changes, but I have to imagine that these disappointing zones would have worked way better if recycled as mini areas that were a part of Skidoo Altus rather than their own distinct areas full of nothing. The other major pillar of FromSoft game design is combat. Now, it's never simple when talking about something as subjective as video game enjoyment and difficulty. Add to this the online discourse, and we have ourselves an endless shit serpent screaming into the void. Therefore, perhaps the best place to start is by saying that the boss design of the DLC is an uncomplicated, flat-out improvement on the late base game bosses of Elden Ring. There are, of course, two exceptions to my enjoyment of these bosses, one far more egregious than the other, but we'll get there. So let's get dodge rolling and start with expectations and consistency. Context is important and a major part of why I enjoyed the boss design of the DLC. Shadow of the Erdtree is strictly post-game content. With this comes an understanding that these bosses aren't going to be a stroll through Limgrave. Think of the insanely difficult levels in Super Mario you can only access after beating the main game. Additionally, FromSoft stated these bosses were going to be tough. The critical response indicated to get ready for some brutal fights. With trepidation, I expected these fights to push me to my limits, and similarly be unbalanced for melee dodge builds, in keeping with the brutal difficulty of the late base game fights. I, like much of the fanbase, am somewhat used to the FromSoft boss abuse train, and was readying myself to feel the pain and triumph regardless. Yes, it wasn't ideal, but much like BDSM, I would grit my teeth through it, waiting for sweet release. Luckily, I was wrong. Mostly these bosses are well designed, reward patience, and are enjoyable regardless of playstyle. Additionally, their design is consistent, unlike the base game. The major problem of the late base game bosses, beyond needing more playtesting to fix the difficulty, is that when you arrive at the last third of the game, it feels like a rug pull. Up to that point, the base game bosses have mostly been well balanced, difficult enough to be enjoyable, but not tedious. Then you arrive at Malekith and it's like, you've been punked, bitch! It feels like an entirely different game. It stands out in comparison to all the enjoyable bosses and playstyle freedom of the first 2/3 of the base game. Now, I can feel this script ballooning in size already, and we've still got the DLC's final boss to talk about. So, let's speed this up and break down 3 of the DLC's bosses, starting with is a real piece of shit. It's a bummer that this boss discussion is going to be sandwiched with criticism, but upon arriving at the Lion, dread started to set in that these DLC bosses were going to be difficult to such an extent that the fights were not fun or engaging. That I might have to end my anti-summon pact. Hammers and nails build the country, hammers and nails made it. The Lion telegraphs are tough to read since it's an amalgamation creature boss. Its moves do too much damage, in which getting caught in a combo is a death sentence. Yes, this can be somewhat alleviated by getting Skidoo upgrades, which is what I did. This makes the damage less of an issue and fits with the freedom to explore and come back to a difficult boss upgraded. What we do come across in this initial boss is what I'm calling the 3 deadly designs of the DLC bosses. Firstly, speed. The Lion is fast, and I know this fact because this motherfucker will be doing flips and shit, and not even the camera can keep up. It's disorientating and exacerbated by if you're caught in a combo, it's pretty much death.
Ow. Yep. Hey, cool. Very good. Very good.
Secondly, Element area of effect after attacks. The second phase of the line involves the same combos, except after each move, an elemental area of effect follows, making a lot of the openings and timings you previously knew redundant. It adds in an entire new place to roll and minimizes the time for openings while adding a whole lot of visual noise and clutter to the screen. The Lion shows this with its three elemental moves, Lightning, Frost and Wind, to which Lightning is way too hard to reasonably respond to openings, especially with the risk of getting stunned and caught in the Lion's next combo. Thirdly, what I'm calling the out of nowhere fuck you killer combo. Not all bosses have this, and even the Lion has this to a lesser extent, but these are characterized as a late fight addition in which the boss approaches low health, they pull a bastard of a move out of their ass, which is too unpredictable to dodge without dying first. Perhaps these are in place to eat through summons, which would have no chance of dodging, but for me, it consistently would end what was to that point a promising attempt. The Lion, when approaching low health, activates a long combo in which each move is a different element after effect. It's not too difficult to manage when you know it's coming, but the pure visual mess and lack of predictability to respond make it tough to avoid the first time around. I found the Dancing Lion to be the second toughest boss of the DLC. It took 3 different sessions and about 2 hours to beat. Between the camera issues, the speed at which some combos can hit you, and the lack of clear openings in parts of the second phase, made this fight extraordinarily difficult and unengaging in a way that was not fun.
Fuck you. You little shit. Ooh.
The Lion showcases how the 3 deadly designs can be used for evil. Fortunately, the large majority of the bosses moving forward were far more measured and made for great fights. Is when my worries got somewhat alleviated. The early online discourse is that, like the Lion, she was a brutally tough boss. Thankfully, Rellana was a welcome challenge, far closer to some of the best fights the series has had, that rewards patient play instead of demanding it. This was one of my favourite fights of the DLC. Rellana, like the Lion, has the 3 deadly designs, but here they're far more effective. Speed. Rellana has some aggressive combos that will drop you if you're not paying attention. There are very few openings mid-combo, however, upon dodging through a full combo, you get an appropriately large opening to respond with damage. Pull off some heavy attacks consistently at the end of combos and you'll get a stagger pretty quick. Unlike the late base game bosses that felt like they could endlessly chain combos together with little to no openings, here you have predictable openings that reward you for successfully dodging through an aggressive moveset. The second deadly design, Elemental Area of Effects, is here, but it's far more measured than the Lion. Rellana's second phase involves her dual swords getting magic and fire elemental upgrades, and beyond looking sick as fuck, has appropriate telegraphs for when the after effect move can happen. Instead of it being the clusterfuck of after every swing, now the swords will flash to indicate that the elemental attack is on its way. It happens enough to keep you on your toes, make phase 2 feel like a difficult step up, but not to a frustrating effect. Speaking of frustration though, Rellana does have an especially rough, out of nowhere fuck you killer combo, that is essentially a one-hit KO. The dodge roll timing is pretty much impossible.
Fuck, man! I can't believe I was so close! Ah!
Luckily, it's not too hard to work out that it's a jump dodge. This doesn't stop the fact that the first time you come across this move is a guaranteed death.
Okay. Oh, fucker! Fucker!
That's a shit, sure. Turn me into fucking Scooby. These moves aren't the worst. If you've managed to make it that far in the fight, then you can manage to make it that far again. I think it's more that the death feels cheap based on how unpredictable the move initially is, especially with how much damage it inflicts.
Fuck. Ah, it was bad. It was bad business. It was bad business. It was bad business, you little rat boy. Shit! Fuck! As soon as I got hit with that first wave, man. Yeah, you really fucked the dodge up on that first one, and it's over. Oh, shit, brother! Oh, yeah!
Regardless, I enjoyed this fight a lot, especially as I was rewarded for learning how to consistently dodge with effective openings and punishes, which led to quick staggers as a reward for the boss's aggressive moveset. Radahn 2 is a blight of evil, and by far the worst boss of the DLC, for almost all the same reasons as the late base game bosses. The first phase is actually pretty good, in terms of how difficult a final boss should be. Yes, Radahn has a nasty cross slash that is nigh unrollable, but its damage isn't the end of the world, and in comparison to how oppressive Waterfowl's dance is, I prefer the cross slash. Telegraphs can be pretty hard to read since they're all variations of sword swings and come fast. The damage is pretty rough and you can't mitigate it by leaving and leveling up your Erdtree level, but in phase 1 it's doable. You have enough room to recover health if needed, and it's a good spot to learn Radahn's combos and openings. It's not exactly an easy fight, but it's the final boss of the entire game for most players, so it shouldn't be a pushover. If phase 2 played out similar to 1, but with some minor variations and souped up attacks, I wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be funny little clips of me doing a swears, for us all to laugh at.
What the fuck is this fucking... Whoa! Okay, cowboy! Whoa! Fuck, that comes quick! I can't even get out of the fucking cutscene.
Instead, what we get is a boss who seems entirely untested, with attacks that do way too much damage that come way too fast. That is visually a mess and would arguably reward playing with your eyes closed. I barely ever had any performance issues with Elden Ring at all, and here I am saying my game was stuttering, as Radahn 2 pulled some incomprehensible, heinous shit. I mean, look at the footage I am showing in this section. It's a light show mess that also happens to melt your health bar with very little openings for recovery. Radahn more than happily commits the 3 deadly designs, elevated to godhood, or should I say descended into the fiery depths of the frenzied flame. Speed. Radahn 2 is fast, mixed in with wonky timings that feel off, especially the grab move that takes just too long to feel out the timing.
No! Fuck! Why is that fucking grab so fucking hard to dodge? Fuck! Fuck! Fucking grab sucks! Fuck off!
You need to get ready for a long time, not a good time. This comes with the effect of moves that are literally too fast. His cross slash, which was broken and now patched, should indicate enough that it was a bad move. In phase 2, the cross slash gains the damage of EDM Nightmare Light Show, which is plenty enough to knock you out of the fight immediately.
Are you sucking a fucking sword, Radahn? What was that? What was that? The fuck was that?
And something that was annoyingly broken in phase 1 goes to frustratingly broken in phase 2.
Wow! Are you fucking kidding me? That cross slash, man!
Similarly, Radahn has a levitate nuke move that has such a narrow window to dodge that if you're not running away immediately, you may as well just tank the damage, avoid in nasty gap closes, and try to get in a couple hits while you can. Additionally, this move has been patched with a thankfully greater window to dodge. Perhaps the worst offender of this deadly design is the confusing, laggy, experimental shadow clone projection speed demons that come immensely quick and are just plainly perplexing on how to actually avoid. My strategy became to not even attempt to avoid, as they do little damage and continually messed up my timing on the final real Radahn swing that could drain your health bar.
Okay, guy. Okay, let's. Oh shit! I don't. Okay. So much fucking light that the computer is stuttering.
It legitimately became an absurd game of counting in your head 1, 2, 3, 4, dodge! To avoid the final real hit.
No! No!
Add to this Radahn's light dash choo-choo train move that is laggy, has just an absurd timing to attempt to dodge, and hits like the feeling of moist frogs jump scaring you in your shoes at 5 AM in the morning. Keep in mind that we still have 2 deadly designs left. Wow. Our second deadly design, the elemental area of effect after attacks, appears in its most malicious form. It's not like Radahn's Phase 1 telegraphs are that obvious without adding a flashbang Light of God after effect, where in many cases you have to guess what combo Radahn will pull out as he slices through the light effect. Beyond this, it does too much damage. It locks you into a close range fight with Radahn, not in the fun hesitation is defeat way, but in the you get to hit you but in the you get hit by the light show and die. Like snorting too much ket in a nightclub bathroom, re-emerging onto the dance floor light show to realize you fucked up. There's no room to heal, you have no choice but to push on, and hope you can recover composure to dodge the next incoming combo, hoping for an opening to heal. Again, it's not like Radahn's combos are especially easy to dodge or read. The lightning effect feels like the added fuck you for even trying to read the combos in the first place. The third deadly design, the out of nowhere fuck you killer combo, Radahn has and will catch you off guard as you try to dodge it as if it was the Radahn 1 meteor move. This time, Radahn has gotten a 500 player kill streak on you and calls in an orbital laser! Come on!
What the fuck is this? No! No! Dude, okay, I understand Miquella's journey now. Make sure this last boss fight really makes you feel like Miquella, because it's like cutting out chunks of flesh.
Yes, once you know to just run away as far as possible, it's no longer a massive issue, but still stands that it's too unpredictable the first time you come across it. The fact Radahn only pulls it out in the final quarter of the fight is just plain rude. The fight itself is too long, Radahn does too much damage, and having a move in the final section of the fight to catch you off guard that will more than likely, with a single hit, drain your not insignificant health bar that, for the record, reaches the middle of the screen. I have vigor, you cunts! It's a punishment too far. The game becomes frustrating for the sake of frustration.
Fuck! Shit! Not even below half! I'm not even below half! Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Fucking hell, man! Shitbag. Huh. That's so cool. Like, I really love it. I love how it just does that. How, like, you're there and then you're dead. Ha. 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 Fuck. No. No. Man. I don't even want to look. 5 hours. Fucking fuck! Shit! Fuck! 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 Fuck!
Right, I've rambled through why this fight sucks. We've got to laugh at my anger. God forbid I actually have a point. There are diehard fans who will unironically tell you that Radahn 2 is a balanced and good fight, just like they did for Millennia and Elden Beast. That by choosing not to use summons or change my entire build to be parry-oriented, that I'm bringing the difficulty on myself. For the record, I know that at any point I could make the fight easier in any number of ways. That's not the point. Anyone who's played a FromSoft game before will understand it's not that difficult to find a cheese strategy through status effects or unbalanced weapons, or to just Google it, mate. I'm also aware that there will be players who will do this fight hitless and find incredible ways to engage with the boss through hundreds of hours of experimentation. Listen, adapting to the fight by realizing that light damage is more than likely holy and choosing to equip the talisman that greatly raises holy defense is the kind of experimentation that is enjoyable. The kind I can discover on my own. The point is, Radahn 2 took me 7 hours to beat, which surpasses any other fights of the DLC by an amount that is entirely ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, follow me on Letterboxd. It's pretty much the only place I'll be posting any kind of reviews. Link in the description. Merry Christmas. To bring this all home, we know for a fact the fight was unbalanced because FromSoft patched it. They reduced the damage, fixed the timing on the cross slash, made combos a bit more forgiving, reduced the light effects, gave you more time to dodge the levitation nuke. Overall, FromSoft made the fight better by making it more forgiving. This is a good thing. All future players will get to enjoy a more balanced version of this fight. I'm sure it will still be quite the challenge, just now there'll be more room to learn and clearer openings to respond to. However, my experience will forever be the one tainted, with many expletives yelled. But hey, I'll admit, it was pretty sick knowing the exact timings and places to heal, grinding for hours to perfect the timing to roll through combos. Yes, I still made plenty of mistakes in my final run that I healed through while patiently waiting for a chance to attack back, wondering if this fight is even worth attempting properly.
Yes! Yes! I am Elden Lord, destroyer of broken Elden Ring bosses, summons be damned! Fuck.
But it did make for a memorable final experience with Elden Ring. One that was better than the disappointment of Elden Beast, even if the memory was singed with irritation. Much like academic papers, this is the only section that matters. It's often where my videos arrive at a point. The themes and ideas they all build to this. The reality is that most video essays are more like stories with a narrative, and here we arrive at the end of the story. The goodbye, the what was the journey all for? Well, more. I think modern life tends to warp humanity's goals towards more. More money, more stuff, more content. It's the system working as intended, one that imposes wealth gain and property acquisition as the individual's divine purpose. But when I dig deep into what truly matters, the answer is never quantity. It's always something more meaningful than pure amount. The video game industry and massive chunks of its audience has devolved into this notion that bigger is always better. That's just not the case. I want you all to think about one of your favorite songs, all the parts you love about it, its tempo, the chorus, the hook, the bridge, the instruments. Now, imagine it stretched out to 10 minutes, I doubt it would still be your favorite. Yes, there's exceptions. The End, Siberian Breaks, fucking Mozart. Elden Ring is the exception. It's the rare good double album, the 3.5-hour film that justifies its length, the 150-hour video game. Not without flaws, but by far the best to do it. When the standard is Starfield, Star Wars Outlaws, Days Gone, Assassin's Creed, whatever one is this year's release, I don't care. It's exhausting. They're a waste of time. We no longer need just more content, fucking no more. I know it feels like, with everything I've said, I must have hated the DLC. I didn't. I loved it, mostly, and like all things I love, I only want to see it get better. I want the right lessons to be learned. You know, it should be simple, but quality over quantity. Meaningful experience over time spent grinding in a game. Consideration and unique design should be the goal, not size of digital empty landmass. To quickly pivot, Industry Season 3 is amazing because each episode feels like it could have been an entire season's worth of story for a lesser show. Same to be said for Succession. In Rainbows wouldn't be the greatest album to exist if Radiohead had attempted to shove all 26 minutes of B-side cut tracks into it. The parts of Elden Ring I like the most are where FromSoft made a distinct choice to do less. The lack of HUD and clear directions, no checklist of chores, the world isn't overflowing with pointless NPCs, the combat isn't some flashy combo system, it's high commitment attacks that reward patience. There isn't 7 different in-game currencies with microtransactions hot to go. I'm excited for whatever FromSoft decides to do next. I hope they can take away the right lessons from Elden Ring, and that perhaps by doing less, they can uphold their substantially high standard of quality. As for me, well, I think I've made it pretty clear there's going to be a whole lot less of Patronizer moving forward. That's for the better. The world doesn't need another random guy complaining about shit that doesn't matter on the internet. These last couple videos are the exception, and they'll remain here for as long as they can. In the end, I'm just a lowly tarnished who barely made a difference, named after a brand of fucking wood polish. I've already faded away, and that's okay.
I could leave you, say goodbye, or I could love you if I tried.